Hi, I'm Dr. Ann Louise, and I know when it comes to multivitamins, you really have multiple choices out there, and it's very difficult to know what's important and what's not when it comes to the ingredient listing of these multivitamins that are so prolific in the marketplace. Well, what I'd like to suggest to you is that there's certain elements that I look for that I think are very important when it comes to choosing a multiple. Now, when it comes to the males of your life, you want to be careful about one particular mineral, which is almost like a double-edged sword. That mineral is none other than iron, because what we have learned in some landmark studies that are not that well known, interestingly enough, in this country, but that iron overload is one of the reasons that individuals develop cardiovascular disease. And there may be as many as 1 in 200 of us that have some sort of genetic predisposition to too much iron in our systems, and men particularly start to stockpile iron when they are 40 and older. Now, that's not the case with women because women menstruate, so therefore they're losing their iron-rich blood, but they start to accommodate and to approach the level of iron that men do when they stop menstruating at around the age of 50 and they hit menopause because they're no longer losing that iron-rich blood. So I think that's a pretty interesting correlation there. So it may not be the lack of estrogen at all that is a problem when it comes to heart disease, but the buildup of iron. So one very important element then to look for, particularly if you're a male and if in fact heart disease runs in the family, is that you should look for a vitamin mineral that really is iron-free unless you have taken blood tests which show in fact that you are anemic and need some sort of iron. If not, then I'd like you to just check out my own website and you'll see the kind of formula that I would choose for the male of your life. When it comes to the females among us, just like iron may be the Achilles heel when it comes to the male, I think that copper is really the issue that you need to be concerned about for a female. I have done a lot of mineral testing in my day, and I see a lot of women that are starting to stockpile too much copper because copper seems to go hand in hand with estrogen dominance, which is so prolific because of all the estrogen mimics in the environment these days, whether you're getting your estrogen mimics from plastics or pesticides, phthalates, or some of the parabens that are in cosmetics other than the kinds that are natural. What we're also seeing with too much copper in the system is that when copper goes up, zinc goes down. Those are two minerals that are antagonistic to one another. And so if you're experiencing problems having to do with hair loss, problems with your skin, the inability to sleep, a mind that won't shut down even when your body is exhausted, and terrible skin problems, then I would suggest that you look for a copper-free multiple. And again, if you check out my own website, you'll see the very kind of copper-free multiple that I had to create for myself because there was nothing on the market that in fact was copper-free that met all of my specifications. So males, you go iron-free unless testing will otherwise indicate that. And women, I think copper-free is also the way to go for you. Now for the males out there, to test and see what your actual iron levels are, a blood test known as the ferritin test, which is a protein-based test that will show how much stored iron you have in the system, is probably critical. For the women, in terms of their possible copper overload and therefore zinc deficiency, I would suggest that you take a tissue mineral analysis, and that will show you what your estrogen levels are, because as estrogen correlates with copper, zinc will correlate with progesterone. So estrogen is to progesterone what copper is to zinc. So that's what I'd like to say when it comes to multiples. You have multiple choices, but if it were me, I would go copper-free or iron-free, and it will all depend upon you and your gender. So this is Dr. Ann Louise saying, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.